Hello everyone and welcome to my Cookie Mountain boss kill tutorial. So here we go. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you my own personal setup for the Cookie Mountain boss kill. And when you're learning this, I highly encourage you to learn the underlying science behind it and also check out what a whole bunch of other different people do, because what works for me is not necessarily going to work for everyone else. Now, I don't necessarily understand all the science myself. I have a bit of an idea, but not enough for me to teach it to you. So for that, I'm going to recommend you read up on the wiki and also watch a video by Dr. Cool, both of which I'll link in the description, which will explain what's actually going on behind the scenes. But for this video, I'm going to do a little step-by-step process of what I do for each of the different steps doing CMBK. So I'm going to start with the first one. So the first one, the object is we're going to eat the 2 moles and kill the sumo before we get into the position for the Yoshi drop. Now, the first thing that might be of interest here is that you're going to be using all 4 face buttons. Okay, and what everyone does this differently. Right? I don't personally like the claw grip. So what I do is I use the tip of my thumb on X, and then I will alternate between the other 3 buttons using the knuckle of my thumb, and that seems to work adequately for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to run along and eat this dude and jump over the pit. Then with P speed we're going to hit the sumo. Now the sumo's standing under this block, but actually if you hit this block you will also always kill him. So it's actually quite hard to jump early so that you don't even hit the sumo. It's quite hard to not hit. It's quite hard to miss him short. So what I personally like to do is I like to hit him nice and early, aim for this block here to the left of him, and then once I land I'm going to eat the next mole. Now the reason I'm going into detail about this, whereas otherwise it's fairly simple, is because I want to make sure that I get the next takeoff as early as possible, and that's for step 2. For my own personal setup with Cookie Mountain Boss Kill, it seems to work best when I drop Yoshi as far as possible. Come back, Yoshi. Come back. Okay. I want Yoshi resting pretty much here. This is like an ideal spot for Yoshi. A little bit earlier is okay. A little bit forward is actually very hard to do, so I wouldn't worry about him putting him too far forward. But any earlier, and my setup doesn't quite work as well. And you'll see other runners do different setups, which is more forgiving for the Yoshi position. So the way for me this works best is that I eat the first mole, I jump into the sumo, and I do it like a 2-part flight. And that's pretty much what we do. But anything you do that puts Yoshi as far forward as possible is probably going to be pretty good. That might be a little bit short for my personal liking. See, Yoshi could do it being another tile forward. It can still work, but it's not ideal. So that's the Yoshi drop. The next part is the shell throw. This will be very obvious to anyone who does this boss kill already, but in case this is new to you, we're going to get to this point here and we're going to scroll the screen. And after we scroll the screen, we're going to land and grab the shell. Now, you actually have a lot of time here, so what you can do is you can run to this position, let's say here. And we're going to throw the shell up. I have all the time in the world here because the enemies are not going to spawn until I do a left-right. The ideal position to throw the shell is pretty much here. Okay? Now, if I were being a bit further left, it's going to land on top there. If I'm a bit too far right, it's going to be a little bit higher than we'd like. So the ideal position is pretty much here to throw the shell. You have the time. The one thing you want to be careful for is if you go too far and then you start moving back right and you throw the shell, sometimes it spawns that Koopa earlier than you'd like and it will mess up your setup. Okay, so once we've done this, we're going to throw the shell up. Now because Yoshi is in a very good position pretty much directly below the flower, I'm in a position to press select immediately. And I don't have to worry about any crazy grips. I've held up, I was holding B, Y, I let go of Y, and now I press select with my right thumb while taking a step left. I mean, I can do it right away. Throw the shell up, and then we're moving left, so I'm immediately re-grabbing. and this makes the inputs fairly manageable for me. So we're going to throw the shell up, little hop here, and land back on Yoshi with the float. Now we can't, once we throw the shell up, this slope is obviously in play, and it's going to interfere with me, and that's why I do the little throw up, and I walk a little bit, a tiny hop, we get below the slope, so the slope is not in play. And it'll float back onto Yoshi. And that is... oh, I've just exited the level. And that is the left-right that we need to do in order to spawn the Koopas. Let's try that with Cape. Okay, Yoshi's a little bit far left, but we'll give this a go. We're in position here. We're going to throw the shell up. Okay, so that's pretty much what we're aiming for to do right there. So once we've done the shell throw, and we've done the left-right, we've landed back on Yoshi, and now we need to get the double tongue glitch. Now the way that works is that the flower is going to be dropping. Can I land here? Oh, I pressed select by mistake. Oh my god. Alright. I'm trying to pause there to show you roughly where the visual cue is for when you need to do the the inputs. Where's my flower gone? I needed my flower. And I need Yoshi. Eat the mole, kill the sumo, eat the other mole, dump Yoshi nice and late, and get into position. Okay, so throw the shell up. Okay, now this is approximately the right position. I don't personally use a visual cue, and I probably should work a little harder on my visual cue, but you can see that the bottom of the flower is pretty much in Yoshi's hat, but we haven't actually collected it yet. Now normally the double tongue is a one frame trick. You have to extend Yoshi's tongue on the same frame you collect the power, the flower in this case. But what we're going to do is to make it a little bit more generous is that we're going to press B and Y on the exact same frame. This is going to make him jump and extend the tongue. And this, I think, expands the window, so it's approximately 3 frames. So this is probably pretty close to the frame we want. But like, no matter what happens, no matter what cues I might use, you should always learn your own visual cues, because it's going to be at the mercy of your own reaction time, the input lag you have in your setup, how dusty your controller is, all these things. So you learn your own visual cues, which works to get you so that you learn the timings. So at approximately this position, we're going to press B and Y at the same frame. This is going to collect the flower, extend Yoshi's tongue, and we're going to jump up. And the idea is that we're going to eat the red shell with the first tongue. Then, as we land, we want to land after the Koopa that you see on the screen here, between him and the other Koopa, and then we're going to land while facing left. We didn't get the double tongue there. This is probably one of the hardest parts of the glitch, and it's something I'm not particularly good at. There we go, we got it that time. And we got it that time as well. Okay, so I want that save state, but I wanted to keep my flower. So the tricky part there, I think, is landing between the two Koopas, and you want to be facing left, but you want, as soon as you are facing left and you start extending your tongue, you want to be holding right so that you hit the second of the two Koopas, which disrupts your eat, and I think that's what they call the eat cancel. This puts the null sprite in Yoshi's mouth, and then we're going to use that to continue the rest of the glitch. Now, as soon as you are going to get disrupted by the second Koopa, that's when you want to immediately be holding left, because you want to start running as left as fast as you can. And if you do that well, then I'm going to start the level again, get back to that. We'll show some attempts. If you do that well, then we're going to get on Yoshi very efficiently, which will give us P-speed, which will let us get to the next part of the glitch a little bit faster. That was not double tongue. That was too late. Yeah, we got the double tongue there, but I jumped too high. I think my positioning was a little bit wrong. Okay, we got the shell. I'm going to do a save state here. Okay, so as soon as we hit the second Koopa, we were holding left, and we got a couple of bounces. A couple of different things can happen. You might not even get the second bounce, and that's super quick. You might miss Yoshi and land up here, and if that happens, you just keep running and you'll get on Yoshi. But in that case, you probably won't have enough to get P-speed at this point. Whereas the setup I just got, where I got the 2 bounces and landed on Yoshi, I would have enough to get P-speed fairly comfortably before the end of this platform. Oops. Okay, so this should give us P-speed. Okay, now the next step of the glitch is getting over to approximately here as fast as we can. You saw the glitch sprite, we just spit it out. There's actually a fairly wide margin here of where you stand. And I don't necessarily know all the science behind this. I only have a rough understanding. I know that it can work if you're as far back as here, and it can also work if you're as far forward as here, but there are some factors. What we're going to do is we're going to get to a position here, and be careful not to run too far left. One thing you should never do is run this far left, then turn back, and then step left to do the glitch, because you've been further forward, and that just seems to not work at all. Instead, what you want to do is you want to run to like here, and then step a little bit further, and now you're in a position. And this is a perfectly normal position. When you're here, we're going to scroll the screen. So you're going to release all your inputs, then you're going to hold L to scroll the screen. And then immediately after that, as the screen is scrolling, before it finishes scrolling, you're going to press down, and then X, and then A. In that order. Down, X, A. Okay. Here, scroll, down, X, A. It has to be like that. And fairly quickly. And pretty much that timing you've got. Now, I believe the further left you are in the bushes, the later that the spit out, the X part of that has to be. But it still has to be before the end of the actual scrolling animation. What's actually happening here is that this sliding Koopa that's here, we're spawning it by scrolling and putting it into Yoshi's mouth or something along those lines. And then when you spit out the thing, it's like it's some weird glitch sprite which spits out the invisible boss that you can't see. That's not double tongue. Okay, comfortably get P-speed. We're going to get to here, and now we're going to wait here, right? Scroll X, A. So I'm just going to pause it right here. You can see the boss, you can see the sprite. This isn't the boss sprite that you can see. This is a different sprite. I think it's the sliding Boo Koopa in stunned form, something along those lines. The boss sprite is right next to him, and he's invisible. So now that we're off Yoshi, we're going to be spamming fireballs. Now you want to get as close to the boss as you can. Let me just do this. Oh, I did the wrong thing. Okay. Wanted to do the save state there. Okay. Okay. Now, the position I want Mario to be standing, and I use Yoshi as a guide here. As soon as you come off Yoshi, you start spamming fireballs, but you'll notice that the fastest you can do it is like shoot, pause, shoot, pause. You have to get quite close to him to get like so that you can basically mash the Y button or X button or whatever. And I think you can basically get, well, that you can see that's the spot where you're too close. So look where Mario's ass is there compared with Yoshi's feet. Like we're basically his ears right on the middle of the saddle. You know, you can almost see the full of Yoshi's feet. This is where you want to stand, and obviously you don't want to get too close because then the boss will kill you. So if you get really close, you can just kill him super quick. Now, I left out one very important thing, which I guess you should say this is very important if you're doing all castles, because you want to have cape for Ludwig's castle. It's actually not important at all if you're doing 96 exit, because you can just as easily swap to cape, I believe, in the next level, which I guess is going to be Cheesebridge Area Secret Exit. I think you can just swap to cape fairly easily there. It's not a big deal. Not that I'm an expert on 96, so don't take my word on that. But I do know you need to get back on Yoshi and swap your cape in all castles. In 96, I don't think you even need to get back on Yoshi. You don't need him anymore because you're going straight into Star World. Right, I'm running along here and I'm pressing select as I'm doing the turn back. So that's my goal here. And then I'm doing the glitch. Oh, I've messed that up. Okay, that's what it's going to look like. I'm pressing select as I do the turn back. Then I'm going to take a step forward, making sure I'm just about in the right position. Do L, then X, then A. Spam fireballs, and I should fairly comfortably have him killed before the cape drops to land onto Mario. Oop. There we go. And that's what we're aiming for. Something along those lines. I've never hit the boss this much. I'm just being careless. You don't need to get that close. But if you can get a little bit closer, you do get a faster kill. And it does save a good few frames. I'm too far left there, I think. So that is pretty much it. That is Cookie Mountain boss kill. That's the setup I use. Let me know if you have any questions. Check out the links that I'm going to leave for extra reading material. Check out how other people do the glitch. Try out all the different ways different people do. Find what's consistent for you. And good luck killing the boss.